Have you ever felt like something invisible tries to pull you down, right when you decide to pray more, fast, seek God, or change your life? It's as if there's a hidden force firing thoughts, distractions, temptations, and everything seems to happen at the exact moment you choose to realign yourself spiritually. That's not a coincidence. That's spiritual warfare. The problem? Too many people are treating this war like a game, spiritually asleep while the enemy advances, fully armed. And do you know what weapon he uses the most against you? Distraction. Because the enemy doesn't need to destroy you if he can just keep you distracted. But if you're watching this video right now, it's not by accident. It's a calling. It's God waking you up. And in this video, I'm going to show you 5 real, deep, and practical strategies to help you win the spiritual battles no one sees, the ones that are draining the mind, the body, and the purpose of so many people. Watch until the end, because the 5th strategy will completely change the way you face attacks from now on. And one more thing, during this video, I'll ask you to take notes with pen and paper. Because some teachings here aren't meant to be watched once, they're meant to be carried as weapons. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you believe you're a chosen one who needs to prepare for this invisible war. There are many people fighting battles that shouldn't even be theirs, simply because they still haven't understood who the real enemy is. They wake up heavy, sad, and discouraged, and think it's just a bad day. They face mental attacks and assume it's only stress or fatigue. But there is something beyond what the eyes can see, an invisible war taking place every single day. And as long as you interpret your circumstances only through a natural lens, you'll keep fighting with the wrong weapons and wearing yourself out for nothing. The Bible makes it clear in Ephesians 6 verse 12, our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. That means your real enemy is not your boss, your ex, your past, or your emotions. Behind the visible conflicts lies a spiritual system designed to paralyze you, divert your attention, steal your faith, and slow down your progress. When you fail to discern this, you end up attacking people when you should be attacking the spiritual root of the problem. This is one of the enemy's favorite traps, keeping you reacting emotionally to everything, wasting energy on small fights, and getting caught up in distractions that seem important but were planted only to pull you off track. Meanwhile, he keeps working in the shadows, laughing at your lack of discernment. Those who don't understand the spiritual scenario fall into the trap of responding to natural problems with carnal attitudes instead of spiritual ones. Here's where your first weapon comes in: discernment. And yes, if you can, write this down right now with pen and paper. Writing it down is a way of arming yourself. Because to discern is to perceive what lies beyond the surface. It's the ability to recognize when something that seems harmless is actually pulling you away from God's presence. When that innocent invitation, that tempting offer, or that repetitive thought doesn't come only from your mind or your circumstances, but from spiritual arrows trying to invade your soul. Discernment doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's cultivated. It grows in a deep prayer life, in the habit of reading the Word not as ordinary text, but as nourishment for your spirit. It strengthens when you start paying closer attention to yourself and asking, is this drawing me closer to God or pulling me away? And yes, it's often subtle. The enemy won't always use something obvious. Sometimes he uses distractions that look productive, but are disconnected from your calling. So from now on, ask this question in every conflict, every thought, every invitation. Does this come from God, from the flesh, or from the enemy? Because when your spiritual filter becomes sharp, you stop reacting like everyone else and start responding like someone who understands the war. A true spiritual warrior doesn't fight against shadows. He aims at the source. And when you learn to see through the right eyes, you find strength where there used to be only confusion. Lust, fear, anxiety, confusion, none of these start out of nowhere. These battles settle in little by little, entering through places we often don't even notice. Jesus said that the eyes are the lamp of the body. In other words, what you look at repeatedly shapes what you feel, think, and desire. That's why protecting your gates, your eyes, your ears, and your mind is one of the most powerful and yet most neglected strategies in spiritual warfare. The enemy has already figured out how your attention works. He knows he doesn't need to attack you with something huge if he can just addict you to small, constant stimuli. One click here, one song there, a show filled with sensuality, a piece of innocent content that slowly desensitizes your spirit. And suddenly, you no longer feel God's presence like before. Your prayer life starts to cool down. Your mind becomes restless. And the worst part, you don't even realize you've been contaminated because the contamination came subtly, silently, and culturally. What enters through your eyes and ears becomes raw material for your thoughts. And what you think about consistently, you eventually live out. If you feed your mind with shallow, impure, or negative content, your spiritual strength will weaken. You can't seek purity while consuming pollution. You can't expect spiritual authority while entertaining what mocks God. The truth is harsh but freeing. Many Christians are praying for deliverance while still feeding the very prison that keeps them bound. That's why you must begin to see your phone, your TV, and your headphones as battlefields. You're at war, and you can't fight with your armor open. Filtering what you watch, listen to, and meditate on isn't religiosity, it's spiritual intelligence. It's you deciding not to give legal access to the enemy through your entertainment. It's not about living inside a bubble, it's about cultivating environments that strengthen your faith instead of draining it day after day. If you want a steady mind, you need to feed your soul consistently. That means replacing endless scrolling with time in the Word, trading toxic lyrics for songs that lift your spirit, muting voices that pull you off purpose, and learning to meditate with intention. Set reminders on your phone with Bible verses. Schedule alarms with biblical affirmations. Change your wallpaper to one of God's promises. Every small shift in your environment can spark a transformation inside you. At the end of the day, what you tolerate with your eyes, the enemy will use as a doorway. But what you dedicate with purpose, the Spirit turns into strength. Guarding your gates is more than avoiding sin. It's building a spiritual fortress, brick by brick, out of what you choose to consume every single day. You can't win a war using the wrong weapons. It sounds obvious, but many people are still trying to resist evil with willpower. Trying to overcome destructive thoughts with distraction. Trying to face spiritual oppression with motivational quotes or shallow advice. But the truth is simple. In spiritual warfare, you either fight with heavenly weapons or you fall trying to use human methods. God has already provided a full arsenal, but many don't even know it exists. That's why so many live exposed, vulnerable, and disarmed. The Bible leaves no room for doubt. In 2 Corinthians 10 verse 4, it says, "The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds." That means we're not fighting with physical strength, with arguments, with logic, or with charisma. We're fighting against spiritual fortresses, invisible structures that imprison thoughts, emotions, habits, and even destinies. And to break free from those, you need the right tools. Tools that aren't decorative, but tactical. Not religious accessories, real instruments of war. Prayer, for example, is not just talking to God. It's a shield, a direct line to the commander. When done with consistency and sincerity, prayer activates discernment, covering, and divine protection. Fasting, often neglected, is a weapon that aligns the body with the spirit, breaks emotional addictions, and sensitizes the soul to hear God's voice clearly. The word is a sharp sword. It's a ready answer against mental accusations, the enemy's lies, and the traps of deception. And worship, it's much more than beautiful music. It's a spiritual strategy. It confuses the enemy, brings deliverance, and turns the atmosphere into a space where the presence of God reigns. Now, write this down and mark it boldly. Spiritual battles are not won with generic faith, but with specific weapons. If you only pray when you feel like it, fast only in emergencies, and read the Bible randomly, you've already entered the battle at a disadvantage. Consistency builds spiritual authority. Set moments of prayer throughout your day. Even 10 minutes of total surrender can shift your environment. Practice weekly fasts, even if they're short, your spirit will learn to command your body. Memorize key verses that serve as mental shields when wrong thoughts arise. Declare God's promises out loud, even when your soul feels weary. This is training. This is positioning. This is the discipline of a warrior. And if you feel like anxiety has been one of the weapons used against your mind, that constant restlessness, sleeplessness, fear of the future, that heavy feeling inside, I want to give you a resource that can make a real difference. I've prepared a devotional ebook called Calm Your Heart, based entirely on Scripture. It's filled with verses, promises, reflections, and practical guidance to deal with fear, chaos, and worry in a deep, biblical, and transformative way. The link is in the first pinned comment below. You can download it now or save it for later, but make sure to keep this weapon close to you. It was made for those who truly want peace, not just temporary relief, but lasting freedom. In spiritual warfare, those who walk alone become easy targets. The enemy knows he doesn't need to destroy you directly if he can first isolate you. And he does it subtly, planting shame, feeding guilt, suffocating faith with silence, and building an emotional prison where you start to believe you have to handle everything by yourself. But isolation was never part of God's plan. From Eden to the early church, his design has always been fellowship, because where there is alliance, there is multiplied strength. Ecclesiastes 4 verses 9 to 10 declares, "Two are better than one, because if either of them falls, one can help the other up." That's not just a nice verse, it's a spiritual survival strategy. In times of battle, you need people who can see what you can't see, who pull you toward the light when darkness tries to swallow you. You need voices that remind you of your identity when everything around you tries to convince you that you're worthless. You need spiritual allies, not just religious acquaintances. This isn't about having a crowd of friends, it's about having the right ones. Those who, when they see your fire fading, bring oil and flame. Those who don't judge you for your falls but reach out with prayer and restoration. People who intercede for you when you no longer have the strength to pray for yourself. People who don't run from your pain but walk with you all the way to healing. These are the relationships that build invisible walls of protection around you. And often, that spiritual covering is the very thing that stops an attack from succeeding. Grab your notebook and write this down with conviction. Who surrounds me determines whether I rise or sink. That's serious. You can be gifted, called, and knowledgeable, but if you're surrounded by people who live shallow lives, feed compromise, and mock holiness, you'll sink. So start praying today for spiritual connections. God answers those prayers. He will guide you toward the right relationships, and while you wait, become that person for someone else. If you don't have a community yet, start building one. Send this video to someone you trust and say, "I want to walk with God more seriously. Let's do this together." Sometimes, a simple initiative opens massive spiritual doors. Find prayer groups in your city or online. Seek discipleship, mentors, or local ministries. Don't rely only on the internet to feed your faith. Build real bonds where you can grow, confess, learn, and advance together. You weren't called to survive in isolation. You were called to fight as part of an invisible, yet very real army. The church is not an auditorium of spectators. It's a training ground for warriors. And when you align yourself with people who live with heaven as their reference point, hell trembles. Because what the enemy fears most is a generation united in truth, in purpose, and in spirit. There's no warrior who fights well if he doesn't know what he's fighting for. This is one of the most overlooked truths in the Christian walk. Many people are exhausted, not because they're weak, but because they're wasting strength in battles without clarity. They fight today, fall tomorrow. They pray, they fast, they dedicate themselves, yet still feel lost, empty, and without direction. And that doesn't mean a lack of faith, it means a lack of vision. Because even faith needs focus. Even prayer loses power when you don't know why you're praying. Proverbs 29 verse 18 couldn't be more direct. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Vision here isn't just about knowing what you want out of life. It's about understanding what God has already placed inside you, your calling, your gift, your mission. As long as that vision remains blurry, the enemy will have the upper hand. He will confuse your identity, convince you that you're ordinary, that your prayers carry no weight, that your spiritual life is small. But all that is a lie. What's being attacked in you is the very thing you haven't fully discovered yet. You're not being attacked because of your mistakes. You're being attacked because of your essence, your destiny. It's because you carry something too great to go unnoticed. That's why the thoughts come like an avalanche. That's why temptations are frequent. That's why it feels like life keeps testing you over and over. Every battle you face is a clue to the level of purpose resting upon your life. Hell doesn't waste ammunition on empty ground. If there's war, it's because there's a promise. Notebook, write this down in faith. Make it your daily reminder. Every attack reveals the size of my purpose. Because when you start fighting with that awareness, everything changes. You no longer pray out of routine, you pray with focus. You no longer fast out of desperation, you fast with strategy. You no longer flee temptation out of fear, but out of vision. The awareness of your calling becomes your armor. You start realizing that this battle isn't just about overcoming sin, it's about protecting a spiritual legacy. You were never born to simply survive the chaos. You were born to rule spiritually in the midst of it. And this is the fifth and perhaps the most powerful strategy. Discover your purpose in God and fight with your eyes fixed on it. Because purpose is what keeps your knees on the ground even when your heart feels weary. It's what sustains your faith in the dark days. It's what lifts your spirit when everything around you tries to pull you down. The enemy may try, but those who fight with purpose don't give up easily. If you've made it this far, it's because this battle is real for you. But more than that, it's because you're done living on the defensive. Deep down, you already know there's something far too great over your life to keep being sabotaged in silence. Now you have 5 deep and practical spiritual strategies. They're not just beautiful ideas, they're real weapons, tested and proven by those who chose to fight. But here's a powerful truth. Knowledge without application is still a weakness. What will change your story isn't what you heard today. It's what you decide to do with it tomorrow, the next day, and especially on the days when exhaustion feels stronger than motivation. You can keep repeating the same patterns, hiding behind excuses and blaming the past. Or you can rise today as one of the chosen. You can take these weapons, sharpen your faith, adjust your vision, and transform the battlefield around you. You are not here by accident. The attacks you faced were proof that you make hell nervous. But those who walk with God don't just resist. They advance. And if anxiety, racing thoughts, or inner pressure have been draining your strength, don't leave this video without getting the ebook I prepared for you. It's called Calm Your Heart. Inside, you'll find Bible verses, spiritual foundations, and powerful strategies to deal with fear, insecurity, and rediscover inner peace. It's a manual for emotional and spiritual warfare, and the link is right there in the first pinned comment below. Don't put it off. Equip yourself now. And now, comment below. I choose to fight. If today you've decided to rise up spiritually. And of course, make sure to subscribe, turn the notifications, and leave a like. Not just so you can keep learning, but so we can grow together as a community, strengthen one another, and carry this message to those who are still fighting in silence.